We didn't even really think about or acknowledge that next year is the 20 year of the band until like recently. And I was like, guys, like next year is going to be 20 years. Like we have to like do something to celebrate it.
Welcome to Lightweight's podcast. My name's Joe. Today's guest, we have Derek, the lead singer of Mayday Parade.
Please don't tell me that now this ghost in my bedroom, it gives me advice. You won't be all alone tonight.
I caught up with Derek at the Sad Summer Festival that's happening right now. I got to ask everything I wanted to about Mayday Parade from the past almost 20 years of them being a band. So insane.
We just wanted to, like I mentioned in Tallahassee, seeing those bands that could like sell out like a 400 cap, 500 cap room.
And if you missed it, the previous episode, I had John from The Main on. I also have other episodes with Simple Plan, Water Parks, Games We Play, so many other bands that you might enjoy. So hit the subscribe button, stick around, let me know what other bands you want to see on the podcast. So without further ado, Derek from Mayday Parade. We're coming up on 20 years of Mayday Parade as a band.
Yeah.
7 albums.
Yeah.
What would 18-year-old Derek think of this?
I don't know, but he'd be super pumped, super stoked about it. It's like crazy just how fast it like comes up on you. Like we didn't even really think about or acknowledge that next year is the 20 year of the band until like recently. And I was like, guys, like next year is gonna be 20 years. Like we have to like do something to celebrate it. And I feel like honestly, I've been touring since I was 17 years old, and it's always been like 6 months basically like out from where I am is what I've been like thinking about and planning. And then it's just been that for like, yeah, however, 20, however long it's been. And so, but yeah, I mean, I've wanted to do this since I was like 12. I was talking to John, the drummer of Knuckle Puck, today actually about both of us, like how we got into music and how when we were like in middle school, just like knew that this is what we wanted to do. So the fact that I'm still here doing it is amazing, and I'm super grateful.
And to do it with the same guys that you first started out with is beyond unheard of.
Right, for sure. It's so rare, and that's like a huge part of why I think we're able to do it. It's so hard to imagine. I can't imagine like somebody leaving and having to figure that out and having like a new person, like touring like in the band. Like I just feel like that would not feel right. But we grew up together, and when I was 12 and started really like playing in bands, I met Brooks, and we've been in every single band I've been in, he's been in as well. And we all kind of did that, played in different bands together, and eventually found our way into this one. And so I think we all have the same appreciation for it and the same love for it. And it's not always easy, but like it's easy enough to continue. You know what I mean? It's never like so bad that I'm like, oh, like I don't even want to. You know what I mean? It's just, there's like frustrations, but at the end of the day, we all love it and we all appreciate it. So,
did you plan originally for that kind of longevity?
No, I mean there was. That's the thing is I feel like I didn't even have the thought of like when I was 19 and we started this band. I just turned 38 a couple days ago. That was so like. What 38? That's like I'm gonna be dead. You know what I mean? It was like there was no like consideration of like what's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20. That wasn't even a thought. And I feel like that maybe that's common, other than people that are like good at being responsible and organized and planning. But it was so just like this is what I'm doing now, and I had no thought of what the future was. And
was it always record, tour? We got to. On like let's keep building, build. Was it always like that even from the beginning?
Yes, which is like one of the weird things about it, because it's you get into these like cycles, and it's one thing that like recently we've been trying to kind of I don't know, just find a way to like get as excited as we used to be. It's like such like a natural thing about it. But no, I mean like from day one, because this band started out of 2 bands like breaking up to form one, and we had learned a lot in those other bands and all of our previous experiences of being in bands and going to shows and talking to touring bands, and we had learned so much. So I felt like we really had kind of like a solid plan together from the start of like, because we were always trying to find like the other people to do this with, And then from the very first practice of Mayday Parade was like just everything clicked, and it was like, this is what we've been like waiting for. Now let's go do all these things that we have kind of learned like what to do. And it was like really like from pretty much day one, it was like, hey, we need to record an EP, we need to write 6 songs, record them ourselves, we need to get it pressed and released ourselves, follow Warped Tour and sell CDs on Warped Tour, and play as much as we can, local shows, touring shows, whatever. So it was kind of like, taking all of that experience and all of that knowledge that we had and just like dumping it into this like right out of the gate. And we signed to Fearless less than a year later, and
was that based off the album sales that you guys did at Warped Tour?
I think, it was a lot of things. It was a culminate. That was a big part of it, I think.
Because you sold 10,000 that summer.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's very crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we actually had done that in there was a band called Defining Moment that myself and Cabbage and Brooks were in, and we had followed Warped Tour in 2005 and sold CDs, and it worked really well. We didn't sell 10,000, but we sold like 8,000 something, and so we knew like that's what we have to do, because it was not long after we did that we, that band broke up and we started Mayday Parade, so it was like we have to go do that again. And then met with Fearless while we were out on Warped Tour selling CDs, and there were a handful of labels that were interested in us, and Fearless was the one that just kind of seemed like they cared the most and were great people. And so and things kind of like just we were very lucky to have that. I know for a lot of like newer, younger bands, it like feels like it's such a grind for a long time to get any sort of momentum going, and it felt like we really had some momentum early on. And
my first memory of you guys was at Starland Ballroom, and I remember just Alex playing that solo, and it just hooked me.
Nice.
It was just so captivating seeing you guys perform, and I feel like you've always had that stage presence every time I've seen you.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Do you write that in mind, how it would sound live?
Not necessarily. I feel like it's just kind of, that's like what we like, you know what I mean? Like, we would go to shows, or me in particular, maybe everybody, I don't know, but like in Tallahassee, I would go to a show like at least once a week or 2 shows a week, whether it's like local shows or touring bands. And there wasn't a lot of big stuff that came through, but there were a lot of like kind of that like like there was, Copeland and Anberlin and May and, all these bands would come through, and we would go to these shows, and it always felt like the energy was just so, I mean, some of those, Copeland's a little more chill, maybe, but you see a lot of bands where they just have this like amazing energy. Further Seems Forever, Under Oath, and crowd just goes off, and we always just loved that and wanted to do that. So I felt like from the beginning that was something that we loved. Now that I'm like 38 years old, like I love doing it, but you do wonder, like, because it's jumping around up there for the whole set and everything. It takes a toll on you for sure. But
what are some things nowadays that get your feelers up of playing a certain kind of festival? Is it when you play a new song? What still gets you so excited that you're still able to do it?
I mean, I feel like it sounds maybe like cheesy to say, but I feel like really just about every single time we're on stage, I feel like I just am always like, I can't believe this is my life. I mean, the first show of this 2 days ago in Sacramento was so much of that, just so grateful, especially to be playing last, headlining a tour like this, a festival like this. We grew up on Warped Tour, going to Warped Tour, and obviously playing it so many times. And for me, like when I was 14 or 15, went to Warped Tour for the first time, and that has such a huge impact on my life of like, okay, I didn't realize that this existed. I always felt like in school I had like my small group of friends, and we were kind of outcasts, and I didn't know that there was this whole world where you can do this, and I feel like I've been just embracing that and loving that, and it's still all these years later, just to be able to be in an environment like that, you can just put all of the bullshit of the world, aside, and just come together with people and enjoy music. And I truly I love it every single show. Yeah.
As a front man, is that in the back of your mind to try and give those same new people who are here today that same experience?
Oh, for sure. And it's stressful. It's very stressful, just because like I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I like almost obsess over like I just want it to be like the best experience for everyone there. And if I'm being just totally honest, I feel like I am not. It's not as natural to me, like the like front man, like pump up the crowd thing. So I'm always like, and you know, like the main, like John, like he's born to do that.
It's
you know
so
what I mean?
interesting here you say that.
He was made, and a lot of people are like they were made to do that. And I feel like I try really hard to do. I can't do it at that level, but I mean, a lot of it's I don't like. I feel like I used to stress about it more. Now I'm kind of like, you have to just identify like what is it that you do, like what do we do well, you know, and then just try and like give the best version of that and not try to like, mimic whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Here at the Sad Summer, do you have different nerves at the beginning of the tour starting something new because you're not in the routine and the rhythm of it yet?
100%. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, every tour, the first show is always like a little anxious, little like, you know, you've got a whole new set, new transitions, new talking points, new whatever.
Right.
So
new
I'm always,
key moments you have to hit.
Yeah. And I'm always just like, you know, for hours before, just kind of trying to go through everything in my head. And then like while we're on stage, you're just like thinking, you know, so that's always, you get the first one out of the way. And then it's just like, oh, okay, now we got through it. You know, because I'm always just like, nothing ever goes that wrong. I'm always terrified something's going to go like horribly wrong, you know, and then it all kind of falls on me to like keep it together, you know. So yeah, I'm always pretty nervous for the first one, but then once that's out of the way, it feels really good.
The first date was 112 degrees.
It was 112 degrees.
Does that affect you as a performer before you go on? Are you stressing out that you're not gonna be able to sing to the full level that you want to be able to and jump around?
Well, thankfully we played at like 9:45.
Oh, so it's cooled off.
So it was cool. I mean, it was still like 100 degrees, I think, at that time.
That's it?
But it was like 112, 113. So it was way, and with the sun's not like out, like, you know, beating on you. So it was much smoother. I felt horrible for everyone else, and it felt horrible for the crowd. That just had to, there wasn't a ton of shade, you know, and to if somebody showed up at doors at that show and stuck through till the end, man, you know, God bless them. That's wild. But
how does a band like you curate the set list to make sure everyone's happy, that even you guys are happy, that you're performing the songs that you want to play?
It's incredibly difficult, and we even after the first show, we're like, should we, you know, it's like, it's so hard because you're kind of trying to balance, like for us, I guess, the idea of like, you want to play, you know, the bangers, the hits, like whatever the songs that are going to be the most receptive, but you also don't want to just keep playing the same set every single time, you know? And so it's just constantly, and as the amount of music you put out grows, you have more to choose from, and it's like, we're not playing anything from these albums. Is that okay? Is that, you know, it's a whole lot to weigh and consider. But basically, I just, you know, I feel like when I watch, you know, so many bands that I love, I see like they're playing like their most popular songs, you know, for the most part. So that's kind of like the bulk of it. It's like there's like, we're playing 10 songs, you know, in this set. You go like, okay, like 7 of them you got to just do like the kind of like the songs you kind of have to play, and then you can, you know, those last 3 you can kind of play around a little bit, throw in some deeper cuts, throw in some, maybe there's some special moments. I kind of tell a pretty depressing story. There's one song we're playing that's it's from our first EP, and it's not necessarily like a super popular song, but there's kind of this like story about it, like recently with events from my life. So it kind of ties in, and hopefully it's like a special moment, you know, and try and find those things. But otherwise, I just, try and put something together, and then I show it to the guys, and then they'll kind of give notes of like, okay, what if we, you know, tweak these things or whatever. But they kind of allow me to mostly build it and put it together.
Is that how it works? Before a tour, you try and put together the set list, and then everyone chimes in, oh, we need a talking break here, let's do this to this song, add a little longer fill, kind of.
So we've become much more like pro with it, where now I'll, as of the last 5-6 years or whatever, I'll actually build like the set, like in a Pro Tools session. I'll like put in the songs, I'll add transitions, I'll kind of like, it's basically like what the set's gonna kind of be, and then I'll send that, and that way, because if you're not, we're bad at like probably not rehearsing as much as we should before a tour, and if you're like rehearsing for 2 days before a tour and you're like, hey, what are we gonna do for the intro, what are we gonna do for transitions, what are, just like throwing stuff together. So now it's like I kind of try and build a lot of that stuff out ahead. Everyone's got time to learn it, and when you come in and everyone just knows it, so.
What's the Mayday Parade group chat look like?
I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like somebody getting excited about something or bringing up something that like, hey, like we should be thinking about this or whatever, and either just zero responses, just being ghosted, or like one person responds and then those two people text back and forth for like a day and no one else. It's pretty dead in there. It's pretty dead. It's pretty hard to like get everyone to chime in. Yeah. Our communication, not the best. Yeah.
What sticks out about those first few years touring? Were there any moments that you felt like, okay, we're going to be able to do this for a while?
Well, there were so many moments, but I feel like, again, like I wasn't thinking of like the longevity of it. It was just kind of like we had these like goals, I guess. Like we just wanted to, like I mentioned in Tallahassee, seeing those bands that could like sell out like a 400 cap, 500 cap room. Like we just wanted to do that. We wanted to be able to like tour like small clubs, sell them out. That was like the goal, basically. And then, yeah, there definitely, as things like kind of started to go, were like moments where, and I think in particular, the first time we played Bamboozle in
New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey. Yeah, 2000. Either 2000, probably 2007, I think, maybe 2008, I don't know. But and we weren't playing we were playing one of like the side stages, and we hadn't like seen the crowd at all until we walked out on stage. And at the time, and I can't really gauge. There's maybe like, but it was like packed. I mean, probably like 5,000 people or something, and that was just by far the biggest crowd we'd ever played in front of. And we all walking out, we're just like, oh my God, like what is happening? What is this? And that was a huge moment for us. But then, yeah, there were a lot, like playing half of Warped Tour in 2007 and then playing all of Warped Tour in 2008, seeing that growth. I don't know. It's just it was so much fun, like all these, like now you're touring in a bus, you go from touring in a van for years to touring in a bus, and getting offered tours with like band like Emery and playing like the bands that we love. And yeah, I don't know. It all just was so much so fast. That was back when like we didn't have much going on at home. We didn't have, families or like, kids, whatever. And so we just wanted to be out like constantly, and in 2007 we were out for 7 months straight. We had 1 day off at home in 7 months, and that was the longest stretch, and still to this day the longest stretch we've ever done. But it was just so like there was hardly even time to absorb it or think about it. It was just like always just moving on to the next thing, But
you guys won the hardest working band for the most touring dates, right?
Yeah. 2009, I think, or something like that. But
180 or 170?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was like 190 something, but yeah. But what's crazy is I think we probably did more than that in 2007, but perhaps not. But yeah, now, I don't think we could do 190 whatever shows in a year now. But yeah.
What's the biggest high for you?
Honestly, I think being on stage.
Is it walking out or playing that hit song?
It's playing the hit song. Walking out for sure, but like there's still the like, okay, what's this going to be like? Like, what's the,
how are they going to react to this one?
Yeah. And then when you play, you mentioned Starland Ballroom. That's the spot. That you play there, and like the whole set is a high. But like, but that when the energy is that insane, and like when it really goes off, and a lot of times it's for Jamie All Over or Jersey or like whatever, but
Jersey and Starland Ballroom
for sure. Yeah, when it's like. So, and it gets to a point where you're like, I don't even, because normally I feel like you're trying to be the energy. You're trying to like jump around and run around and be, and when it gets to where like the crowd is that wild and it's just like surfing and singing and whatever, you're like, I can just stand here and sing. Like I don't need, you know what I mean? It's like you guys are the energy now, you know what I mean? And it's such a cool thing. Yeah.
We have a new single.
Yes.
Pretty Good to Feel Something.
Yeah.
First time playing live. How was that?
Super cool. I was so, like, I meant just that whole set was so, like, just thinking, and especially for that song. Playing a new song for the first time is always so weird. And the biggest thing is you're just like, I don't know how to move to this yet. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Because you rehearse it in a rehearsal and you're standing there singing, and you're like, okay, this all sounds good, this will be good. But then you're like, oh shit, I have to think about, like, what I'm going to do when I'm not singing, and for these, like, rock parts, like you gotta, because eventually you play these songs hundreds of times, you're comfortable, you know, like what feels good. But I feel like I was so just like, what am I doing, what do I do, you know? And but no, it was super cool. There were a handful of people singing along. It had come out that day and was just like, how are you guys singing this, you know? And I love the song. It's one of my favorite things we've put out in a long time, and maybe ever. Like I really dig it a lot. So, and the response has been so awesome. Like online, like streaming has been really solid, and I'm just very, very pumped. And I mean, yeah, almost 19 years after we started to like still be putting out music is just insane, you know?
You spoke about how releasing albums is just so different now, and the idea of releasing a new song once a month is like something that is viable and makes sense. Is that something that you think would happen going forward?
I don't know. It really depends. One of the biggest hurdles with our band is getting all 5 of us on the same page about like anything. So that's kind of the tricky thing. And honestly, the truth of it is that I don't even know what I want. Like I do like the idea of like, yeah, put out a song every month and a half, like just because, you know, I don't know, it just feels like that's kind of the way things are. Like when you put out a whole album at one time and then like 2 weeks later, a month later, 2 months later, it's just kind of like, okay, what's next? You know, like everything is so, the way people consume media, you know, is just so fast paced. And but I also feel like I love the idea of a body of work, of an album, and I feel like it's an important thing for our band and for our type of music. And so I don't know the best way of like juggling those two ideas, you know, but I do like, you know, if there's a blend of both, then that's kind of where I'm at, I think. But I don't know. It's so hard to say.
Was this song released independently?
It was.
Was this the first one?
No. So we've put out a handful of songs. But yeah, the last 3, the More Like a Crash, Got Me All Wrong, Miracle, those 3 were all independent. This new batch of music that we've recorded is independent. But I don't know. It's another thing that we're like, I don't know, man. It's so hard to know like what makes the most sense. Like, yeah, it's tough to label things weird, but putting them as yourself is weird. It's hard. Like both of them are difficult, and there's pros and cons to both. So it's a lot to consider. I don't know where we'll land with all of that.
It's such an interesting time because when you first started, we have to make an album booklet. We have to get art. We have to get our thank yous together.
Right.
But it's not really a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, what's the benefit of it versus what's the...
A lot of it falls, a lot of like those, you know, things that I guess now maybe less of it's like album artwork, but it's still a lot of like promotional stuff or social media content or whatever the, you know, that's the kind of stuff that you have like a team sort of like building all of that when you're on a label. So now it's like it just falls on you and your group, the band and management, whatever, to do all that. And so it's like, are we going to be good enough at this? Like, are we going to be responsible enough? Like I mentioned, our communication kind of sucks. So it's like, you know, it's so tough. It's so tough to weigh all that out, you know? And, but the good thing is like, it seems to be working pretty well. Like us putting out music ourselves, like, you know, like the Pretty Good to Feel Something has kind of performed better than anything we've put out in a long time with streaming. So it's like, you know, maybe you can do it ourselves and still get great results. But, yeah, we'll see what we decide moving forward.
I'm excited to see it live.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, I feel like
It seems one of those live fun songs.
Yeah, that's like so much of why I wanted to play that song, release that song before this tour, and play it is because it just has such a fun energy to it, and for a summer tour like this, and then I think tonight especially, where people aren't just drained after being out, for such a hot day, and for me and for all of us of just not having that like overthinking, like it's my first time playing it, I gotta like, what am I doing, just kind of settle into it a little bit. It's gonna be cool.
Was the Jamie All Over music video filmed in a real casino?
It was not. I wish it was, but no. It's bonkers because that was back in the days where like I don't know. I think Fearless Records probably spent like $50,000 or something like on that video, which is insane. But no, because I think most casinos you can't record in,
right.
So they had to like. It was basically like a set, like a empty sort of warehouse thing where they brought in all those tables and machines and carpeting and whatever and like made a fake casino.
Was that the first big music video for you?
We did the When I Get Home You're So Dead music video. That was the first one, and then Jamie was the second. Yeah.
And then once you guys saw the cut of it, what'd you think?
It's hard to say. I've always, maybe not so much back then. I probably was stoked on it, but there are a lot of music videos we've made that I have never watched, and I will never watch.
Why is that?
It's one of those weird, like, some people that like some actors will be like, I can't watch movies that I've been in. Like,
yeah.
It just, that's part of it. I just feel like I'm just so like, I can't. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like I'm so like, it's just so cringy to me.
Will you watch back your performances?
I can watch back performances, yeah. But performances to me are more like natural. Like I like the music video thing. I feel like I'm just like, it's not like one of my natural like performing for a camera and being all like cool and stuff. It's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I feel so awkward, and so and especially some of them. And I won't like throw any shades at any like particular music videos or anything, but sometimes like, because it's everything we do in the band is like a majority vote of like what we're gonna do, and there's some like music video treatments where I'm like, I really don't like this, but it gets like voted as like, that's what we're gonna do, and I'm like, I hate this, and but you got to do it, and so some of those in particular are ones where I'm just like, there's no way I'm ever gonna watch that, so yeah.
Is there a story behind the Umbrella Man?
So, I mean, it basically was just the artwork. Whenever we, did a Lesser Maniacs with Fearless, took us a while to settle on they kind of sent a bunch of different ideas from different artists, and there was nothing that we were all super stoked about. And then we got sent that one, and I think, oh man, I should know this. The artist's name is Kyle something. I feel bad not knowing his last name, but I think that he had put that together as a T-shirt idea for Plus 44, the Mark Hoppus and Travis Barker band, that they didn't use. I think that's what I heard anyway. Like that, yeah. And so he like sent that over, just like redid the graphic of Mayday Parade, Lesser Romantics or whatever, and we loved it. Thought it was super cool, so we just went with it. But there was no story of the guy. But then we got asked that so much. People were always like, what's this guy? What's this character? And so then we just kind of kept him around for the Anywhere But Here artwork, and just kind of kept, and then we kind of like retroactively for the self-titled album tried to like go back and create this story of the Umbrella guy and where he came from and everything. And that was like the Oh Well music video is kind of like some of the origin story of that character.
How does the songwriting work for you now versus how when you first started out?
Yeah, the biggest thing that's different is having the ability, like we all kind of have somewhat of like small
home studios,
home studio setups. And so before it used to be that like you needed everyone to really hear a full idea. Like I would have an acoustic guitar, I'd be like, this is the song, or this is what I'm working on, whatever. And then everyone starts kind of coming in together, and Jake's, whatever. You can't this is what I'm hearing in my head, and so now you have the ability to do that. You can build a full song, a full demo, and send that. And it's like a double-edged sword, I love being able to do that. I love being able to create something exactly the way that I kind of imagine it. But I feel like, there is something to that style of putting it together with everyone there, and that's what, I don't know. I feel like that has something to do maybe with those early albums and just the feel of it and the energy of it. And so, it's kind of hard to know how much of either one you should lean on there. But
do you do other songwriting with any other artists?
I do a little bit of it, but I don't know, man. It's so stressful, and I have such imposter syndrome with
In what
it.
way?
Well, I wish, I don't know. I just feel like it's not something I'm naturally great at. I'm so I feel like I can't force it, I have my recording rig out on the road, and I've been working on new music even in the 2 days that we've been out on the road. I've been working on 2 new song ideas, and I love it. But I love being able to work on it when I feel creatively inspired, and when it's okay, sit down with this person and work, come up with something. I just feel it's just not my environment. I feel like I'm just faking it. I'm just you know what I mean? I don't know.
When you come out on a tour like this, do you set expectations for yourself, having those writing sessions for yourself where you have to do something creatively?
Well, I've been trying to yes, how can I? Because just in general, I've been trying to be more responsible, be more productive, both with my time at home and family stuff, raising kids, and with band stuff, and just all of it. And tour, it's such a massive amount of time that we play a set, and then you might have 1 or 2 other things that you're required to do in the day, but the rest of the day it's you can kind of do whatever you want, and so I can sit and play video games or hang out or whatever, but it's you can also make great use of that time, and so I've been trying to be more productive, just with working on music or whatever, really. And not all of it's Mayday Parade stuff. I'll write all kinds of stuff so that's the thing when you talk about writing for other, I feel I love writing for perhaps different artists or different styles or whatever, but it's the with someone else there kind of thing, unless it's someone maybe that I'm just super comfortable with, and someone that it's kind of known there's no expectation to come up or finish something right now. It's just let's just kind of have fun and see what happens, and that's a different environment, a different vibe. But or just random there's we'll make dumb videos and movies and stuff, and I'll make music for that, and exploring that whole world is so much fun to me. But yeah, it's almost video game music or whatever, but yeah.
For people who are coming out to Sad Summer, what can they expect from this Mayday Parade set?
Well, this is probably the most planned out set we've ever done, as far as trying to, add interactive moments and crowd, I sing, the crowd sings, cool transitions. It's we put a lot of time and effort into trying to make this the best set we've ever done. Hopefully we accomplish that. But that's certainly the goal, and we tried really hard. So I'm super pumped about it. It's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be a lot of the familiar songs and the hits, but some different stuff as well, and a couple curveballs. And it's just hopefully gonna be. We always have a lot of fun, so hopefully they do as well.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Guys, come to Sad Summer. Check out Mayday Parade's new song. And yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, thank you.